Cool story,
Welcome to
bro.
another episode of Cool Story Bro. Today we have a very seasoned radio guy. His name is Jeff Sandu. Hello,
Alright.
Jeff.
Thank you.
So for those who don't know, Jeff Sandu works in BFM as a radio host. He's very, I wouldn't say credible. I guess you're very into tech. That's one thing.
But not credible.
Credible. Definitely credible. I don't know what the word is besides credible, but he's a tech guy. And today we're going to have him here to talk about, the tech industry, the radio industry, and I guess, business in general and how it's shifting in Malaysia. So without further ado, Jeff Sandu, can you please introduce yourself to those who don't know who you are?
All right. Thanks for being on this, for letting me be on this
Thanks
show.
for coming, man.
Hey, cool story, bro. It's so weird because I don't have a cool story. I keep telling you, Yim, like I've got cool friends. I don't have cool story. So yeah, my name's Jeff Sandu, or just Jeff, and I've been in BFM for about 10 years now. I'm
Nice.
currently the executive producer for Enterprise. So I look after anything to do with entrepreneurship, with business, starting up a business, scaling up your business. Of course, tech is my baby. I think I started being in love with technology since I was like age 3. And I hacked into like a Windows 3.1 machine when I was like 6 years old or 7 years old.
Oh.
That's where I knew, technology is the way forward. But I didn't know how to make money from it until BFM came along about 10 years ago. And Malik, who's the founder of BFM, decided to give me an opportunity. And since then, yeah, it's been a wild ride. Simply because I think I've traveled to all the hot places for technology space, whether it's US, Silicon Valley, China, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Beijing. And then even up to places like, Norway and Sweden, where you would be surprised the amount of technology advocates that come from there and futurists. And the way they think about technology is very different from what we Southeast Asians would think about, right? So, yeah.
So I actually went and did a bit of homework before you came on. So I saw your LinkedIn, and before you were a radio host, you're actually a major in art
And design, yeah.
design, yeah.
So I did video because when I was in Form 2, Form 3, I stumbled across Macromedia Flash and how you could do Flash animations and making a ball bounce and doing HTML and Dreamweaver and stuff like that. Right? So I just fell in love with being able to create something out of nothing. And then showing it to the world as well, like showing it to your friends and to your family, and just seeing their expression when you show them a very simple animation of a ball bouncing on Macromedia Flash, they just go crazy.
Yeah.
And this is like, I think, 1998, 99 or somewhere around there, right? So from there itself, I realized, maybe the way forward for me would be in this video space. We all love comic books. I grew up with, reading Marvel and DC and Batman and all this stuff, right? So I felt like, animation is something that I would like. I can't draw for nuts, but animation helped me to really kind of improve my drawing skills. Then I learned Photoshop, Illustrator all by myself.
Yeah.
And then I, did a diploma course in just one of the local universities, colleges. It wasn't a college, it was an academy.
Right.
It was a 2-year course that I actually only did for a year and a half, because the remainder half of the year was kind of like your internship.
Yep.
Which I skipped it completely because while I was doing my diploma, I did freelance work. So a bit of a fun fact, back in 2004 and 2005, when you go to the old zoo, the one where now I think it's Pelita,
Right.
Kanda, you would see their small little TVs at the top, and they would have promotions about bottles and Heinekens and cigarettes, or like Armin van Buuren is coming next month, Tiesto is coming down next month and stuff like that. All those very
billboard,
simple animation. I used to do it because my brother was working with an advertising company that had an access to to do this kind of advertising.
Oh, right.
And, I could do those kind of simple animation, and that was my freelance project to earn side money. And I actually went up to my lecturer and said, like, can I just skip the 6 months internship program because I've got, credit from...
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, cool. So I only did 1.5 years and jumped straight into the video production industry, and was there for about 4 years.
Damn.
I left because it's tough. It's gruesome. Money was also an issue.
Yep.
A lot of, I think, designers and talented artists in Malaysia, we struggle. I say we, it's like I'm still part of it, but I'm not. But like they struggle in terms of just, getting the financial reward. I think they're still at the bottom end of the pie when it comes to the output itself,
Yes.
right? So you even see like Industrial Light and Magic, and these guys are creators of all your Hollywood blockbuster movies that you see, but nobody actually knows who they are. You only see the actors, the directors who get the cred, and even when they win best special effects, it is generally the executive producer or the director that goes up on stage, not the hundreds of designers. And fun fact is like there's a lot of Malaysians actually involved with the creations of a lot of the Hollywood movies that you see. But we don't know them by name, which we should, because these guys create magic out of nothing.
Is this like that guy who did what's his thing? Like
Life of Pi?
Insidious, like all these I think when those guys like Aquaman, it was a local director as well. But we only knew when the movie was big. Then that's when Malaysians, we all like to leech on people's fame, and that's when we all come and talk about it lah. To be fair, I think he's been doing all this stuff for quite a while. We only come to heard of him 3 years ago.
Exactly.
And that's after a few big movies already.
And Life of Pi was the other one, right? Everyone then, I think a few articles came out. Hey, did you know the tiger in Life of Pi was actually done by a Malaysian?
Exactly.
And everyone was like, what? Like, we could do all this?
And then Malaysians being Malaysians, we all just, we hype, we'll write on that shit lah. We write on the fact that, it's Malaysian, but we feel like we did it as well, but we didn't obviously. But
games too. Games too. There are a lot of games.
Even the big triple A games.
Titles.
There's the recent one. I can't remember what the name was, but it's definitely Malaysian involved as well. There's a lot.
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy 15.
We all love Final Fantasy, but there are a lot of Malaysians who are involved in the designing of the characters and the world and stuff, right? So I left simply because of I was in Singapore before I decided to quit the entire industry. I was there basically on course of learning how to be a producer in the video industry, because I was actually an offline. So I started as an offline editor, and offline is basically where a director goes out and do a shoot, and then you kind of edit it out. And then I moved from offline to online because I liked the whole special effects. So I worked with 3D artists and 2D artists. From online, I wanted to venture into the producing part, so pitching into clients, to trying to get new clients and ideas, and coming up with ideas while speaking to my designers. And then from there, I decided there's no ladder for me to climb, and also I had to come back for family reasons. So I came back, I did freelance. In other words, I basically had no job, and came back about 3-4 months while being in this freelance, no job kind of period. Was listening to BFM, and then my phone rang, and it was the BFM's founder who called me up and said hey, we're looking for a tech producer. Do you want to come in for an interview? And I go what?
So you went in as a tech producer before you went going on as a host of the show? Yeah.
So because I'm an introvert. Even until today, I still consider myself as an introvert. I can't go out in public if I don't have the right mindset to go out for public. So most of the time, I skip any events simply because I just don't know how to portray myself in front of a public crowd, right? So I grew up being an introvert. Now that I'm in radio, I have to be seen in certain places, so I psych myself up. But I told Malik that I don't mind doing a producer role, because I think I love tech and I love creating objects out of nothing and content out of nothing. And it'll be fun to be able to have the power to question the makers of these kind of technology spaces regionally or globally, and just sort of put them on the spotlight and asking them what are you doing, how do you build this, the challenges, share their story. And then I think about 4 months after doing producing role, my main presenter Frida, she was not well to do one of the interviews that I scheduled, and this was with a guy who was based in Finland. And I don't know if you know, but people who come from Scandinavia, they don't have vowels in their name. They're all just F, J, R, R, K.
Oh, so A, I, O, U is not there.
Right? Yeah, so and I looked at it and I was like, I have no idea how to pronounce his name. And I basically screwed the interview up simply because it was bad. I was just thrown into the deep end. But I felt like it is pretty cool. Was talking to him, and I was very honest with him. I don't think this will go on air because this is my first interview and stuff. But yeah, little did I know, now it's about 6,000 over CEOs I've interviewed so far in the last 10 years. So yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. So again, how did the name BFM? So I realized every time you drive out, you see all these stickers of what BFM stands for. So what does it actually stand for?
Business Frequency Modular is what it stands for. The story of how we came up with these acronyms that made us who we are is, we had an interview with a company that does ads behind taxis. When BFM was just starting out. This was in 2009, and one of the challenges this company had, was brands didn't want to be associated with taxis because taxis had a bad rap. This is before the Ubers and the Grabs and stuff, right? So no one really wanted to be associated with taxis, having ads and their brand on a taxi in KL because of the haggle issue. So we thought maybe there's a barter thing that we can do. We do a bit of an acronym and promote BFM that way. and then you see how it goes. And then Malik and our creative, external creative agency thought of, why don't we play with the acronyms? Because maybe that's a way that we can capture an attention. Also, kind of get people curious. Yeah. Like, hey, what's that? What's that? Busy finding money, Bieber free music, and all that thing, right? So we initially doubted the longevity of the acronyms, because how many acronyms can you come up with? B, F, and M.
Yeah.
So the challenge was that my founder and the agency director decided to have 1 month or 1 week of conversation on WhatsApp, just using acronyms only. So if you were to communicate with me, you can only communicate with B, F, and M acronyms. That's it. So see how many can we actually create in that space of a week or a month, right? And it turns out a lot. Like, you could do a lot, as you would see now, right? We've got like thousands of acronyms.
There's a lot of it.
So then now it's become a known fact that that's how we promoted ourselves, and people knew about BFM from the ads, the busy finding money behind taxis.
That's actually how I got into BFM. I remember seeing it in college back then, just because I was based in Sabah. So when I moved here, the radio is a bit different. We only have hits in Sabah. The rest of it is all very different. So when I came here, then there's BFM. Then I was driving, and then after I saw someone's car, and then Bieber was the thing. Then I saw Bieber free music. So I was like, So I went and checked it out. And the music you guys played were great, because we play a lot of indie music, and at that time it's all indie music. So I really loved the kind of music. So it was really fun.
Music is also something that I guess made us stand out, because there's so many commercial radio out there that plays your top 40 hits, right? Yep. But because we're independent, we have that ability to flex with the style. So we started off from day one to be an alternative music station. So most of the stuff that you hear comes from Australia, the UK, the US, but it's not your top 40. It's bands that you never heard before. I stumbled across BFM when I was working in the video scene. And my offline tape editor will come up to the room past midnight and say, like, bro, you gotta listen to this station BFM because they play Radiohead. And like, I'm like one of the biggest Radiohead fans, and I was like, really? Radio station in Malaysia play Radiohead, man? He's like, yeah, check it out. So that's
the same for me. I heard Arctic Monkeys on radio. I was like, no way. It's weird. And it was cool though. I mean, they were one of the first radio to actually do that. And they were also, I think back then they used to broadcast live football.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So we used to broadcast the commentary. Before the licenses, basically why we stopped was the licenses was then separated to each individual club instead of the FA itself.
Oh.
So, previously it was easy because we just had to go to one source to request for a license to broadcast. And then TalkSport would just say, yes, okay, here you go. This is the sort of the URL and stuff that you need. So that's where we would stream it from our station. But then there was a season where that license ended and they didn't extend. TalkSport didn't extend. It was then given back to individual clubs. So if we were to still want to do this broadcasting, we had to go through all Premier League clubs to get the rights to do it. And that was one, it's costly and then it's time consuming. And also, like, who's BFM? Like, why does a Malaysia radio station that's only broadcast in Klang Valley want to broadcast live sports, right? So it's going to involve a lot of money, which
it's true.
We don't have.
I think at that time it was only BFM and there's one more channel that does it. I think I can't remember if it's Light and Easy or someone else, but I think there were only 2 channels that broadcast football back then.
I don't know any of
the only reason why I listened to it is because I was driving home. It was a long drive home, then it helps out. It's quite a nice time.
Exactly, yeah.
But recently you've been traveling to like a lot of places. I think we talked about doing this podcast for I think a good half a year now. And every time we want to do it, it's either you're away or we're too busy as well. So tell us about what have you been doing, the places you traveled, what was it for?
So my first kind of foray into traveling for tech stories was in 2015, and that was with IBM. And IBM at that point in time, they did like this IBM Watson supercomputer, and this is like an AI computer that basically can do anything humans could do by answering any questions that you ask in natural language, which is a dream, I guess, for most of us, right? So even your Siri, your Google Assistant that you talk to now, you got to speak like a robot. To some extent, they've improved a lot. Like, you can just ask a basic question with your Malaysian slang and the lah and stuff, it will understand. But in 2015, it was difficult. You really got to speak like a robot or an American for it to understand. But IBM Watson was one of those that played this game Jeopardy, which is a question. It's a question and answer game which is on reverse. So what it does, it will give you the answer. You got to figure out the question. So it is very difficult even for us humans because it will give you an answer and it'll give you a scenario.
Yeah.
You got to figure out the question to that answer that was provided, right? So Watson took part in that competition and beat the world champion for that game. And that's where people started to notice that, we now have the capabilities of doing natural language processing for AI. And they did like a big conference in 2015 to just sort of showcase like this is what's happening. And I was lucky enough to attend, and I was blown. My mind was just completely blown. I was a kid all over again. I was that 7-year-old kid that went into my brother's room to hack into that Windows 3.1 computer all over again. It was totally amazing to see something like that come into fruition and to see it actually working. It was a demo, of course, in a controlled environment, but yet they had live cases of, live case study of how they're using it to help poverty in Africa, how they're using it to do agriculture in, certain parts of the developing and emerging countries. And, it's all test bits, right? So since then, it's just been on I would say a Hyperloop bullet train speed in terms of the way that technology has moved forward. Since 2015, I was just recently in China for the Consumer Electronics Show.
Yep.
And that is the consumer side of things. And just being in China is completely insane. Everything is robotics, everything is AI. As soon as you touch down the airport, everything's cameras are everywhere. If you think Singapore is got a lot of cameras everywhere, multiply that by 100, that's what you get in China. They can figure out your movements, your body temperature, what you're doing, where you probably are going to go next, where you would, what would you do next and stuff. So the predictive part is just insane. And when I went into Consumer Electronics Show, I just realized the way the Chinese have adopted technology into their lives, their daily lives, is at least a good 10, 20 years ahead from us Malaysians. You could go out with just your phone and having WeChat, and you could
just do everything, yeah.
And I say anything, not as in here you could say the same thing. You go well, but Jeff, I can leave my wallet at home and still have my phone and move around because I got, my e-wallets and stuff, right? There you can run a business just on your mobile phone. You don't need your wallet. You don't need to have an office like this. You just need a mobile phone to run a business that can get you a revenue of $1 million annual per month. We know of a company, I say a company, but it's actually just a family company that's run by 3 people in one of the rural areas in China. And what they do is they package a type of nuts that is manufactured by them, but it's produced by a nearby town. So it's a small village of I think about 3,000-4,000 people in that village that is specialty for a particular type of nuts. But what they can't do is to package it and sell it.
Yep.
So what Alibaba did with these guys is they sent out a bunch of people to do digital transformation for them. What they did was the nearest town had the capacity and the facilities to do manufacturing. So this group of family of 3 decided to help this small village, and now I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're doing an annual revenue of $5 million US dollars, just packaging nuts and selling it to the world.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's I remember one of the entrepreneurs that I spoke to who went and visited this site. He said it took about 3 hours from Guangzhou to go to this small village, and when you're driving through this village, it's just sandy roads and stuff. But when you reach there, you see a Mustang and a Mercedes A-Class and stuff parked outside, and then you realize, these guys got money. Yeah. They're filthy rich. So it's exponential growth.
In recent news, at least you know what's happening with Huawei, right? So the whole
the trade
Trump,
wars.
the trade war and stuff. What do you think about that? Do you think it will actually affect us even?
I guess an image-wise, yes. But honestly, though, I think we get too caught up with something that's hyped up that, right? So this is a pure politics game. When I was in China, it was the exact time when Trump announced that they're going to suspend any businesses that is affiliated with Huawei.
Yep.
So Huawei cannot use any American products and Huawei was in trouble.
Yep.
And the media, and us as well, we latched onto it because as a business side, it does affect Huawei's business direction. Huawei is also the leader, if not one of the leaders, when it comes to 5G, which is a big buzzword, right? And when they came up on stage, they were completely unfazed by what's going to happen, right? Because one is China is massive. They only need to serve their people. to sustain.
Yep.
The only reason why we are talking about them is because now they are like, number 2 or number 3 in the world, and they're reaching out to so many of us, right? But the core infrastructure, I don't think it's really affected that much because they have plans. This is a company that wasn't just born yesterday. They know what to do. So they were not, scared. They, of course, acknowledge that it is tough times. But I think even their CEO came out and said, that they have great partners and friends in the US. And he's not worried that, this is going to affect them in terms of, their relationship. When these things clear up, things will be back to normal and probably even better than before. So this is again politics. I think even now, when this goes up, I think the policy will still be like it's until year in, and then they will see what happens. It's pure politics. But as a brand, as us consumers, we go like, do I want to buy a Huawei phone now?
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are talking about.
Honestly though, what is it about the phone that you're so worried? Like, people say, oh, you won't get updates and stuff like that. But do you think Huawei as a brand would just cut you off completely?
Exactly.
You've already paid that money.
Yeah.
They would want to now do more effort to keep you in because you have invested in their brand during the toughest time. So most likely you are their loyal customer. And Chinese companies, they know how to take care of a loyal customer. People, So we just get caught up in the hype. It's a cool thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see like how politics can affect things like that. Like, to be honest, I didn't see it coming at all. So when it happened, I was quite like, oh wow. I mean, I was one of those people who think that Huawei is fucked.
Yeah.
But then again, like you said, they're such a big company.
You can say the F word on this show.
You can say anything you want.
I am completely shocked by this.
First time Jeff will be swearing on a radio sort of format kind of thing.
No. I haven't yet.
But yeah, I was also one of those people who think that they're fucked lah. But actually, come to think of it, you're right lah. Like they're such a big company, and already I think a week after that thing happened, they announced that they're gonna come with their own OS. Yeah, which is like, okay, that solves your problem really. Because
they've been they expected this is gonna happen. They knew that one way or another, with the current president and the leadership that the US have, is very much America first, the world second, and then China third. So, with that kind of mindset, they are prepared. Again, Chinese companies are smart. Sometimes I think we underestimate the ability of these companies to operate on their own without even, even if they pull out from the rest of the world, Huawei won't die. Or any other Chinese companies, they won't die. They've got 1 billion people to serve, and they are 1 billion people who are very hungry for the next big thing. They adopt tech way faster than any of us. So for us to think like, if I buy the next Huawei phone, I think I'm going to be left out. I think you will only be left out if you are only looking at using services that comes from the West. But if you are, I know a lot of people who are into WeChat and, your Line Messenger and all these Chinese apps, you're going to benefit more. But if you're like, more of the Western side, maybe your Netflix and stuff, there may be some, difficulties, but it's not the end of the world. You'll still be fine. What we should be worried actually is like what we really should be concerned about is, I think Netflix even came out with a great documentary recently, is The Great Hack. And I think that is something that we all need to watch and we all need to understand because Malaysia is involved in, more ways than one. And that is your Cambridge Analytica and Facebook. And, that area is where I'm very much concerned about how we as Malaysian consumers use this kind of technology. We all are guilty of this. Even myself, we don't read the, license and user agreements. And that's totally fine because they are written in some weird gibberish English that no one can understand. Only lawyers can perhaps understand. And that's the reason why they do that, is because they manipulate us into using this kind of services. But we need to be more aware of what we give out. And just watch the Great Hack on Netflix. So that's just mind blowing. When I watched it, like I wasn't to say shocked, but I was just so impressed with the way that they did it. Made me feel like I was watching like a Will Smith sci-fi hacking movie. But then you realize, oh shit, it's real life. Oh gosh, like I was actually involved in this. I was one of those person who was involved in terms of, I'm a Facebook user. And probably would have done some surveys on Facebook, some games that I would have played on Facebook. And then little did I know that I'm actually could be swayed by an ad or an article or the clickbait stuff. That leads us into a very dangerous conversation of not knowing where we actually stand a lot of us say that, and I'm sure you would have noticed this, like your phone listens into your conversation, right?
Yep.
So if right now we spend the next 20 minutes just talking about Barbie dolls, I bet you tomorrow, later, probably later after the show, you will get a Barbie doll ad.
Yep.
And that itself is risky, right? Whether it listens to you or not, it doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is that we are so comfortable of just simply giving out this kind of information. We feel like these companies, they know about us more than we know about ourselves. So what makes you think that these companies are not going to brainwash you down the road to doing something that maybe now you say, definitely I'm, in terms of politics, I'm not going to vote for party A. I'm definitely a party B guy.
Yep.
But 20 years down the road, or 10 years or 5 years down the road, with the amount of information that you're fed, you may be swayed to go for this because of a corporation. And that corporation has no legal, they're not binded by any legal law to change that. And that's the fight that these companies are having, which I feel it's very, very dangerous. And it's a conversation that we have not had in Malaysia. I've been in the industry for 10 years, and I think the first time I talked about data and it being the new oil of the future was in 2011, and I remember it only got like 3 views on YouTube, and that's about it, right? So even now, if I do something like this, it's still a lot of people like, this one happened in the US, it's fine, like, it's all US centric, you guys just follow US media and stuff, but we need to start.
We adapt anyway, and then it will come to us eventually. It's a matter of like when. And to be honest, I think a lot of Malaysians, including myself, I think the internet is as much as we think we know the internet very well, I don't think we even touch the surface of the internet. And there's so much things we don't know. There's the dark web, there's all the kind of shit. And to be honest, I think, like you said, clickbait stuff, there's so much of that in the internet nowadays.
I mean, we love the I don't want to mention the media names, but we know of so many local media companies that their sole purpose is to have your clickbaity articles.
I already know one already. I'm gonna call him out now.
Or your listing articles, like 7 things you must know about Subang.
Not only that, there's one particular media. Who is it? The one
like
Buzz.
Something Buzz. Let's just say.
Buzz something lah. You guys know who you are. You guys are like the king of clickbaits. I don't know how you guys are still around. I don't know how you got in trouble, but good job.
Yeah, and we fall for that. We love it. We even share it on WhatsApp and stuff
because the title is ridiculous. Yeah, and it's like, I don't know how it works lah, but these guys managed to keep it going. And to be honest, most of the time it's really they're not to say lying.
No,
they're not lying, but at the same time they make it seem like a bit over dramatic lah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the one that recently went like a little bit viral was like, they did an article about, and kudos to them in finding these stories.
Yeah, I don't know where they find the stories, man. It's crazy. It's like,
where do they scour?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's all on Facebook. Like, and if you look at their sources, it's all linked to some Chinese blog site, Facebook site, and all that, right? But I think the recent one that went viral was like they had a video of a woman caught pleasuring herself on the highway to Malacca and stuff, right? And like it went viral. People love this kind of thing, and I'm like, wow, really, guys? Like,
I really don't know how they find their sources.
Yeah, so kudos to them in finding this. But yeah, not so kudos to them in trying to play that.
Because all the articles they put out they're not really news lah.
No.
Yeah, they're just pretty much like gossip and.
But when and it's not just them, by the way, but many individuals or and I say individuals as in people who are influence, bloggers, your KOLs, your influencers and stuff, and also media organizations. They probably do this kind of fun, silly things. That's great. That's what the internet is for as well, right? The internet only became like a big viral thing because of cat videos.
Yep.
If it wasn't for the cat videos, I think the internet would be very different.
Yep.
But there's also a risk of these individuals when it comes to sensitive topics, they also tap into it. Like we've seen these media and this kind of media companies and also influencers. When it comes to a certain season, they will then talk about politics, or like they'll talk about this party, they'll talk about the new Malaysia and stuff like that, right? And then you are swayed because you believe in their stories. You like them as an individual, as a character online that they portray. On their Instagrams or their Insta stories or their YouTubes. You would laugh at their jokes and stuff, and then you buy into believing that this is who they are. And you yourself know better because you've spoken to so many KOLs and influencers. They will tell you that what they portray on their social media sites is not exactly who they are.
Yep.
But for the millions of people or the hundreds of thousands of people who follow these people and these media organizations don't know that.
Yep.
They believe that is a friend that they can trust. And when you talk about something, they buy into it, and then they go like, yeah, see, true, I told you right. See, these people are that one. Like, that's the worry that we don't stand on our feet on any decision. We very easily swayed. Lalang lah, we all, right?
We are quite lalang.
The wind blow this way, we all go that way, right?
That's true.
And that is a big risk. But it's not to say like it's doom and gloom. There are some, great use cases for tech that I've seen, and most of them unfortunately, they come from like Scandinavia countries.
Yep.
Talking about travels, I went to Sweden to sit in an autonomous truck by Volvo. And initially, when I got the pitch, I'm like, autonomous truck.
Autonomous meaning what? It purely runs like
not like the Transformers
self-driving sort of thing, is it?
Yeah. So it's self-driven, but they have this platoon services. So basically, I don't know if it's the right term, but basically what they have is they only need one emergency driver to drive 4 trucks at one time. So the remainder 3 trucks that follows the leader has no driver whatsoever. The main truck has 1 driver, but he doesn't actually drive because he just sort of makes sure that the system is fine, right? And initially when I got the pitch, I'm like, how to talk about trucks on radio, man? Like, how is that a cool story, right? Like, it's going to be a yawn fest radio content. But I decided to go because, again, it's Sweden. Who doesn't want to go to Sweden? So went there, experienced it, sat on the truck, and as boring as it may sound, like, you just sit in the truck and then you realize, oh wow, it really drives by itself. Yeah. And then you are in that track of that oval track for like a good 20 minutes, and you do nothing but just notice, wow, it's really driving by itself. So there's completely like no visual story into it, but then coming back, realizing the potential and then the effects that it will have in terms of how many drivers that will lose their jobs per se, right? But also just the beauty of how far we've reached to now. The next car you buy may be semi-autonomous, but a lot of reports that come out in global reports, the last car you have bought may have been the car that you just recently bought. The next time, because the car will last like 9 years, 10 years. After that, you may think of selling a car, but in 10 years from now, you probably don't need to buy a car anymore because everything's just going to be autonomous, right? So looking at how that future is going to go ahead, I'm quite excited. Even though I'm a big petrol head guy, grew up, having Porsches on my bedroom wall and stuff, but I'm keen to see like an autonomous Porsche, right?
I'm a big Tesla fan, man. I'm all down for the whole self-driving shit. Like, I would
have you seen one on the road? In Malaysia?
Here, no, I have not.
Okay.
I have not seen one on the road.
I oogled at when I saw one in Malaysia, my jaw just dropped and I was like, oh my god! Like,
it's a damn pretty car too. It
is a very pretty car. It's super fast, very cool, insane tech. Elon Musk is like a kid with.
He's a mad scientist, lah. That fella is crazy. Now he's like, his next campaign is nuking Mars, really. So apparently nuking Mars will probably make it livable. So,
space,
so that's pretty cool, man. I mean, like, but whatever he's doing is quite wild, and I'm actually way into that. It's nice.
I think like fun things in tech is also just AI. So the other thing that Elon Musk is doing is Neuralink. Neuralink is
he planted like the chip in your head, right?
The symbiosis between man and machine. And he was saying this will help people who have difficulties. So totally fine, legit reason to have something like this. But don't tell me someone's not going to use it for the bad reason.
Of course they're going to use it for the bad reason.
Right.
Who's going to use it
who doesn't want to be like a superhuman? Who doesn't want to have superpowers? And who doesn't want to be Neo in Matrix, right? I just like, paged Lawrence Fishburne who's sitting in like a dark studio somewhere and go like, download me the latest, Kung Fu moves, that I need to learn because I'm, going to walk into a back alley and like, I just want to, get myself prepared, But
I have a feeling actually Elon Musk might be actually like he probably will find a way to like transfer our memories into that damn thing, and then we don't even have to use our physical body. We can just transfer it to another body for Probably might come to I think he might do it though.
Or he may sell that ability to a Barbie doll company and sell you Barbie dolls after this because we just talked about Barbie dolls, right?
So that's true.
And then you get tempted into it. So one of the topics that I do on Fridays, if you're keen to sort of know about how technology is affecting society. So I've got 2 shows. On Thursdays, it's more of the enterprise, your Volvos, your big companies and stuff, right? And then on Fridays, more on your society impact of tech. So recently, we just talked about this topic on, when you implant a chip in your brain and, when you have a memory. So for example, sometimes, when you're driving on the road, you think you have a flashback moment, right? So, and that's just purely on you. Your brain is, telling you signals because maybe you passed through a road that you've never been through a long time, or if you come from a different state and you balik kampung, you have all these memories of this is the place where I used to cycle, or I climbed this tree, I fell down, broke my leg, and all that stuff, right? So those kind of memories come back to you. But when you have a chip in your head, and if you have that memory, is that memory coming from the chip, which is provided by someone, or is that memory coming just from you itself? You cannot differentiate because it's a memory to you. But then you will not realize, is this something actually that really happened to me?
Is this similar to deja vu then? Kind of like deja vu?
Could be, way, but then you can never question, like, is actually really something that happened to me?
Yeah.
But it feels so like, wow,
it feels
real,
like you've been here before you've done this.
I've been here. So that is that risk of implanting something in your brain. It's fun, it's cool, it's damn awesome. And again, we follow the hype of when something like this happened, we go like, oh my God, it's happening, the Skynet, the Terminator and stuff. That's cool, but like we got also sometimes take a step back and ask that question, like what's the impact that we have in society, right? Like now you go into, the typical ones, like you go to a cafe or you go to like a Chinese restaurant, Indian restaurant or Malay restaurant, and then you see everyone's just on your phones, and it's sad that these Facebooks and companies, their main goal is to connect people, but yet they've separated us, right?
Detach you at the same time. It's kind of sad. It's kind of ironic, but it is what it is, I guess. I mean, Facebook's in it for the money at the end of the day.
If more people can think like you, I think we're quite safe. But right now, Malaysia's, I think we are like the 3rd in the world, or at least in Southeast Asia, in terms of Facebook usage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're heavy users. We're massive.
I mean, not even that big in terms of population as well.
No, but we are massive Facebook addicts. I think on average we spend more than 2 hours per day on social media. So if you're awake, let's say 18 hours a day, and you work about 6 hours a day, you actually spend 2 hours per day as well using social media.
I think it's more than that, man.
That's the average. So that's including of your average in terms of people who are in rural areas where connectivity may be an issue. So if you consider them and then you consider the urban areas,
so they
Subangites and stuff and all, like I think if you just do a survey in Subang, it's like probably 12 hours.
Yeah, it's probably a lot,
right, of social media, right? It was literally everything is on social media.
Like, to be honest, if not because of my job, I probably won't even touch social media for a while. Like, I actually want to step out of it because my work involves that, so I can't really run away from that.
It's like an excuse, but yet it's a legitimate excuse.
Yeah. But no choice lah. But what to do? I mean, I get like these guys. They are probably on like social media 6 hours a day or more. I mean, including working hours, they're also on social media. So it's like,
and when you say these guys, these are the guys who are recording this, helping us to produce this, and also a Flex 2-time winner, champion,
calling everyone out here today for overusing social media.
For those who are listening to like Spotify and stuff, they're like, who is him talking about these guys? It's not me and you.
Check out the other podcasts lah, like From the Threads and is it From the Threads or Fashion Week? Oh, From the Threads. Sorry, From the Threads. Fashion Week is a different podcast. Hi guys.
There's other people. We just name drop. Arnold.
I got to promote a bit, right? You guys' new show. But anyway, so you've traveled a lot this year. What is the coolest thing you've seen from your traveling, like this year itself? Like to all these tech cons. Like even you went to the Samsung launch for the S10s.
Well, so I didn't travel out of Malaysia for Samsung launch, but I did the Malaysia launch of the S10. So I hosted like the sneak preview of the S10 like 3 hours after they launched.
Was it including with the?
With the Galaxy Fold, which is currently on hold at the moment.
So
right?
they kind of like.
I think right now they're looking to re-release it again.
So wait, so those who bought it then how?
You can return it. If I'm not mistaken, they had a campaign where you can return it back if you want to return it back. But they actually encourage people to return it back because they're going to change the hinge and stuff, right? So, screens, man. Like I just love screen.
But Samsung screen is top of the world, man. It's really sharp.
So for mobile phones, definitely, like even iPhone.
The iPhone uses Samsung. For
screen.
Those who don't know, by the way.
So those who using iPhone now are shocked. They just like.
So you're pretty much
drop the phone.
You're pretty much using a Samsung phone as well. Your thoughts. So you've seen the phone, that fold thing.
No,
you haven't seen it?
I've not held it yet, not seen it yet.
But do you think like we do we need something like that? Do we need something like that on our phone? Do we need to have a foldable screen? Do you think that's like
10 years ago or so, or more, probably even more than that, when Steve Jobs brought out the iPad, a lot of people asked that same question. Do we need an iPad? Do we need like a bigger exploded phone? But then now it's like people don't buy the laptops, they use their iPads for their travel and stuff, right? Because it's just portable. So if I can give you the answer, I would not be here. I'll probably be making millions of money. Not to say if I become rich and stuff, I won't be here. I would still be here, probably sponsor the show and stuff. But I think we cannot predict what's going to happen. 5G and stuff is like it's going to be even more cooler. 10 years ago we could only imagine something like Uber and Grab and Food Panda and all these kind of guys, right? But now it's like become a daily thing, e-wallets and stuff, right? And like the interesting bit is that we're only about a few months away, 4 or 5 months away from the end of not just the year, but a decade.
Oh, right. It's 2020 soon.
So 2020 is going to be the next decade. And it's interesting to see that this next decade is going to start with the main big threats of like trends, not threats, although it could be either way. 5G, AI, machine learning, and then Industry 4.0, like the revolution stuff, right? So like what are all these is basically like everything has a chip, has a sensor. If you want to get an experience of what these things do in your life, then you just travel to China or you travel to Silicon Valley, and then you get to experience it. Basically, that's how it works. Everything is just so connected. So those are like the things that I guess will happen in like the near future that we should look out for, and it's pretty cool that it's going to end. Like this decade is going to end. In terms of cool things that I've seen, I really love screens. We spend so many hours on our mobile phones, right? I think Apple last year released a stat that an average user unlocks their phone 80 times a day. Correct me if I'm wrong still, but I think it was 80 times a day.
Sounds about right, actually.
Yeah, so, and that's an insane number.
Yeah, it's a lot.
In just thinking about like how much we spend our time at our screens. But I've seen like 8K TVs and screens, right? And 8K TVs and screens, you may wonder like, how much difference could it make from 4K?
A lot.
But imagine 8K and it's live streaming from someone playing like a game like Dota or like Fortnite or Minecraft and stuff, right? And like the 2020 Olympics, they're actually going to enable 8K streaming, live streaming of 8K. And this is insane because this is not just seeing the sweat of the athlete, you can also see the veins popping from their eyes. So like that's how clear it is, right? It blows your mind when you see these kind of things. You just go like, wow, how immersive is this, right? And these screens are like 120 inches big and all, right? Because the bigger it is, the more immersive you get.
Like I saw the Sharp had the first 8K TV that they did. It was like at least 70 inches or 80 inches. It was humongous. It was huge.
Just blow your mind away.
Yeah, man. It's really pretty though, but also super duper expensive.
That's what we said about 4K TVs when they first came out, right?
I mean 4K TVs are actually affordable now.
Yeah,
you can buy for like 3,000. You can get
actually even like $1,000 you can get one.
Really?
You go to e-commerce store. I don't know whether legit or not.
Probably no. There are some China brands
It's not native 4K. It's just sort of like they adapt it to 4K. But whatever the term is lah.
So like you're a super tech guy. So what are the gadgets or things that you must have with you daily, or you use them daily at least?
If I say my phone will be quite a disappointment, right? Like
okay lah. I mean, if you say phone, you say what phone lah?
I use an S10 Plus Samsung. I don't like iPhone. I can't use an iPhone.
Why?
Limited. You feel restricted. It's like your grandpa or your grandma telling you that you can only do this and you cannot do that. And we're all rebels, right? So if you're a rebel person, you don't use iPhone. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for this.
No, actually not. I mean, so I spoke to this one guy. I tried to sell my phone to him. So he's like, why would you want to sell a phone? I feel so offended that you want to change to an Android. I was like, but why? Why not? I feel like an Android can do so much more than an iPhone. I mean, you can basically change your phone into a gaming thing or whatever it is you want to do.
But it's also our personality change along the way.
Not really though.
No, I think like your preferences, right? So maybe at one point in time you may, let's say you like certain apps and you like certain colors and certain feel and styles, right? So with Android, you have the flexibility of even completely changing your phone, how it looks, how it operates. Like maybe one day you just want to use where you swipe up to your main screen menu, but then the other day is you just want a button instead of a swiping gesture, right? And then like your keyboard, you can change various multiple thousand different keyboards, your wallpaper, how your screen looks like. It's just endless.
Yeah, because you can, like, there's this thing called the rooting.
But even then, you don't have to root your device. So you can download launchers and stuff like that. So that's just like, if for me personally, I just like the flexibility of, being able to customize my phone and to make sure that my phone stands out from the rest lah. If I were to just unlock my phone, I know it's my phone. Whereas iPhone users, is very hard. If you put 10 iPhones on the table, it's very difficult to differentiate whose phone is, which phone belongs to who. If you take out the cases and all this, funky stuff that they have, right? Phones are definitely the one thing that I go. Surprisingly, I'm not that, I don't carry much tech gadgets around. Like my colleagues are always fascinated when I come into the office and I leave the office, I don't have a backpack. Like even coming to the show today, like you see me walking empty-handed.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for the last 10 years. And a lot of them like, how, why? I was like, well, you rely on the cloud. All my documents, all my files are in Google and other services, Dropbox and stuff. My email is on my phone. I could do anything that I want. I'm not the kind of person who would track my sleep, my walk, because I'm just not that kind of guy. Also, I don't want to give data to these kind of companies, so what's the point? I have a lot of gadgets at home. I've got like a DG film camera that is like, it's digital yet analog. And it's like one of those Kickstarter projects. I spent a lot of money on Kickstarter just because I thought, hey, this one pretty cool, right? But then when the product arrives...
A lot of times it's like that. Like even there's one like camera that I saw on Kickstarter. A lot of people funded it. But when it turned out, it was actually made of plastic.
I'm going to curse now. It's crap.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's a curse word, but I can't say it on
so
radio.
You got that camera?
I
feel like it is, I feel like no.
I'll say it. It's a big brand.
It is you because we spoke about it the last time.
It's the Yashica camera. Yashica is a big brand. It's like, they make cameras for World War II soldiers to go and go out and take photos and stuff, right? So when I saw they posted up on Kickstarter creating this digital camera, but it's analog feel, also has an analog element of putting like small like a film, but the film is actually your filter. But when it came, it looked like something I bought from Jalan Pasar, man. It's just complete rubbish, bro.
It's very badly made, right?
I spent way too much money on Kickstarter. If I didn't use that money on Kickstarter, I could probably sponsor the show, It's a lot of money, bro. It's a lot of money wasted on Kickstarter.
But what other investments you did on Kickstarter that was like
disappointed?
No, that was not. That was like really legit. That when it came, it was exactly the same as it is.
Only one, but this is a product that's defunct now. That's how shitty the level is, right? There is no one product that stands out and go, wow, this one damn good. It was the Pebble smartwatch. And if when the first smartwatch revolution came, it was from Pebble. And Pebble was this really cool analog looking, Casio looking kind of watch that is based on an e-ink screen. So an e-ink screen is a screen
Kindle,
that it's a black and white, right? So they went on Kickstarter and I fell in love with the project because it was an indie developer and these guys were just doing it on their own. So, I invested into it, got the version and I loved it. It was so good. It was like the first of its kind. I see you wearing like your Apple Watch. And
I got this for running, but I stopped running now. But anyone want to buy, I'll sell it off fast, cheap.
I like your plugs, bro.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I loved it, used it for a while, and then I realized got one problem with smartwatches. Like it doesn't fit your style. And I'm sure, like Ben here will be able to comment on that.
I do agree actually. Yeah.
Because you can't change it. Like, you're going to change your strap every day. What if you decide to wear a white shirt today and it doesn't match with your black strap, right? And the only thing you can do is just change your watch face. And even then, most of the time you
can't even see the watch face. You have to like put it up, then you can see it.
That's about it. So I realized smartwatches are completely useless when it comes to it. Unless you have a lot of money, then you can buy one watch for each of your styles. But if you're like one of the flex crew, then it's difficult because you've got like a million different styles every day, right? So that's going to be difficult. So how are you going to cope with that?
That's why he's not wearing a watch lah.
Exactly. I'm sure he just looks at the sun and then puts a stick there to tell you the time.
Just stand outside, look at the shadows. It's fucking 3 o'clock now. It's what it is, huh? Old school.
But it's tough. So Pebble was the really great device that I used. But then 3 years after that, they filed for bankruptcy and then
because of these other brands that are doing
the Apples, the Fitbits and stuff.
Fitbits.
But even Fitbit is not doing well. Like they're struggling. Apple, if you look at their annual revenue reports, they don't actually give you the amount of units that the Apple Watch is sold because again they're probably afraid when you compare it with the iPhone sales and the iPad sales, right? it's gonna be jarring. So what they do is they just give you like a report of how much the value that they sold. But again, it could be maybe they sold like 1 million of the Hermes version of the Apple Watches in China. Because in China, people queue up for this thing. People line up. Maybe not anymore with the whole trade war thing because the image is tarnished.
I think it's still happening, man.
But still, people line up for these things, right?
They're crazy for shit in the West for some reason. They love the West.
They love it.
Yeah.
We're all suckers for it.
That's true.
An Apple product, when you receive it, it's, just the whole unboxing trend, right? Back then, box is a box, right? You come, you open the package, you throw away, and then you use the product. Now, even you guys with the,
shoes,
shoes, right? Like, what's the show called? I don't have a name for the show kind of thing,
don't
right?
have a name for the show yet.
There we go.
Yeah.
So like, when I watch those videos, it's an unboxing video.
Yep.
And people love it.
Yep.
I love it too.
I mean, look at that guy on the YouTube. What is his
Unbox Therapy.
No, not Unbox Therapy. The
Marcus Brownlee.
Marcus Brownlee.
MKBHD.
All he does is just talk about the stuff and just unbox it.
He was a 16-year-old kid.
And he's making millions now just doing that shit, man.
Yeah. He drives a Tesla, a matte black Tesla.
Probably got sponsored for that too, man.
Well, he's good friends with Elon Musk, right? So, but if you look at influences that come from different parts of the world, especially in Western, although I'm generalizing because they created the Kim Kardashian and stuff, right? So of course they are completely useless influencers who don't do absolute shit. But then there are some influencers who really reach out a big market because they've got huge following. So your MKBHD, your Unbox Therapy, these guys, they talk about things that are so current, which is like your tech products, your consumer products. But then if you look at their content, is so much of education that you're learning. So like if you just look at Unbox Therapy, even him, started just by unboxing tech stuff, now goes on to a discussion and talking about what does this mean for the company. And bear in mind, they've got followers of millions around the world, and most of these followers are kids.
Yep.
And, it's not the 35-year-old, 40-year-old, right? These are your 16-year-olds who are
trend chasers.
and they love this. But what they're doing is they're listening to these guys and they're learning things. So MKBHD recently did like a video about what is actually 5G.
Yep.
And like, it's basic for those who are in the space, but he's got millions of followers that he's now educating about the use cases of 5G and what it means and stuff, right? And people are learning. That's the one thing I realized that here, all this kind of influencers or people of millions of followers have yet to do something like that.
And I'm gonna be real honest. To be honest, like when I look at, I'm gonna say influencers in Malaysia. No offense to everyone, I'm not an influencer, but you guys could do better, lah. I'm gonna be honest, lah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's dangerous territory for them to maybe venture into something, but. You can only be an influencer if you champion something.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I feel like we're just not influencers, we're just followers.
Yes.
So if you call yourself an influencer, like you have to tell me what exactly you're championing. So like MKBHD, he's championing the tech society itself and educating the world with technology. There are a lot of, I don't speak Mandarin, but I know there are a lot of Chinese influencers, Mandarin speakers, who do the same kind of thing because they realize there is a hungry population there of knowledge, hungry for knowledge.
Yep.
And these guys are tapping into it, right? Because then they use it as a marketing tool, as a business tool, and they try to sell different products and stuff, but they make it clear. But here it's just like every other influencer just kind of does the same, and I'm not calling out people, but it's just like it feels like there needs to be an education side of what you do. It's great that you have these large followers, so do something good with it. And hopefully we can then have a more mature society. BFM, what we always stand for is like building first world mindset. So if any of our influencers have done this building first world mindset, then like please let me know, because I would love to.
I would love to too. I would love to.
I'd love to talk to you guys about the challenges about building your first world mindset using the millions of followers that you guys create.
I feel like I should say the reason why we started this show. So the show started. The name Cool Story Bro isn't supposed to be like Cool Story Bro. It was supposed to be like if I'm supposed to invite influencers, I'm supposed to question what they do, ask them questions like, so what are you influencing? Are you an influencer? Like what are you influencing? Basically, I'm calling you out on shit like that. The Cool Story Bro part is like a sarcastic thing. So if you tell me something which sounds like it's really like made up shit or rubbish, I'll just be like, oh, Cool Story Bro, like a very sarcastic way. That's why the show started. But it's kind of hard to do it because we also work with a lot of these influencers, so it's kind of hard to kind of get the you gotta find the right people to bring on lah.
Yeah,
people that we want to work with lah, so it's not offend anyone lah.
I mean, you gotta play the game as well, right? But it doesn't mean that it cannot happen. I know Brian is still somewhat involved, like Brian Botachin, is part of Masses and your group and stuff, the agency and stuff, right? But like what he does is interesting in the sense that because his followers are like, young kids.
No, like what I respect him for is that when kids look at him or talk to him, he isn't the kind of guy that just sells you that lifestyle. He actually talks to you, he actually engages with you, he actually educates you at the same time.
Yeah.
So when I look at him out, like I'll go at him very often, and every time like kids approach him and stuff, he's not the kind of guy that just like take a picture with you and then, you know what, I'm done talking to you. He'll talk to the kids, like what do you guys do, what do you guys like. He'll actually talk to them and educate them if they have questions to ask, which is why I feel like that's what's lacking. Because influencing in Malaysia, I think they're very self-entitled. First, there's one thing. I feel like they're very over the top of their head. They think they're like big, but to be honest, man, you're not even tapping like 10% of the Malaysian market yet. You just because some kid comes up to you and says that I like you very much and stuff, it doesn't make you any special.
Yeah.
If anything, I feel like what I realized influence Malaysia, they make you spend money. That's what I feel like they're doing. They're influencing you to spend money.
Because you want to buy whatever that they're doing.
They're pushing, right?
And so then you want to travel to the places that they travel to.
Exactly. So essentially, it's just like you're just showing your lifestyle. There's not much of influencing there. They're not letting me understand or learn something from you. I feel like all I'm learning is, what you're wearing, how much it costs to get that. This basically what I see them doing.
See, then they will say that they are lifestyle influencers. So, and lifestyle influencers has this problem of making you feel depressed.
Yep.
And then that depression comes from, and then you see people staying away from social media.
Yep.
Like they have this detox program. So 6 months away from social media, people shut off their account, uninstall Instagram, uninstall Facebook, delete account, all this go to the extreme of things just in order to get away from it, right? But there is another end of being able to do something great and creating like a community around it, building things where you get people to unite and then have mature discussions around the things that you generally would do on your channel.
Yep.
That for me is something that you're creating a movement, you're creating an awareness, you're building a mindset of pushing into different areas that probably, me and you will not talk about it much, but when you have like 100 people and that is led by an influencer, on a particular topic, then you see, it's really great. Like, you're championing something. So like, the shoe community and stuff, getting people involved around the sneakerheads and stuff, right? It's not just about, hey, what shoe to buy and like, okay, I'm going to take my dad's money now, I'm going to buy a shoe and then resell and stuff, right? Yep. So it's not just about that, but it's just about understanding what goes into, the community itself, what goes into why there is such a big trend on sneakers and what makes the sneaker unique. Having an understanding instead of just being followers, that's what for me, I think is great. Like if you can build that awareness of why this thing is going forward and stuff, it's just like what MKBHD is doing with the tech space, why this thing is such a big deal. That's where then I think you can really call yourself, yes, you are influencing people in terms of having them to understand what it means in that thing, right? So, travel and stuff, that's great. But is there something that you can also, get people in terms of knowledge of what it means about this thing, right? So if you're a travel influencer and a lifestyle influencer, you travel to certain places. Why don't you travel to places that are not known for its tourists, for its tourism, right? And promote those kind of areas, because we've seen as well, like and there are reports about places in New Zealand and in Australia or in parts that are generally not infected with tourists, become popular and their economy grows.
Yes.
Because of maybe a couple of influencers or articles that come out about this place, the hidden gems, the listings and stuff, like 7 places you don't know about Selangor.
Yeah.
And then you go there and you go like, wow, like it's so cool, I didn't know it's in my backyard. And then you go for that, right? So if you create those kind of awareness, that's like a step 1.
Yes.
And at least you're you're giving out information that people at least don't know. Knowledge lah. If you're not, then tough, man.
I'm just showing you, I wear my nice bikini at a beach in New Zealand or something,
But they all have the same followers, the same people that follow them, right? So what makes you different, right? It's just tough. So I always confuse, like if I see this photo, I see multiple influences of the same-ish photo or same-ish thing, and then the caption don't make sense.
Yep.
And like the caption is like, being with you is always the best thing ever. But then like you're posting you're posting a photo of yourself.
Yeah.
Who you're being with? You're being with who? What does it mean, right?
Yep.
I scratch my head. So like I think there's a parody account of a Barbie doll who's doing something like an influencer with the caption that doesn't make sense, like a poem and stuff. So I can't remember what the handle is, but there is one account that this person is using a Barbie doll and posting all these influencer type
images,
of lifestyle photos. And the caption is completely mocking influencers around the world, not just Malaysia, I'm just like around the world. And it's gold. Like for me, that is, something that's creating an awareness. It's getting people to understand that sometimes you might be swayed by, people's, this.
And I feel like it is, like the way Malaysians absorb influencers, I think is not the right way, definitely. Because even the Malaysian influencers itself, they don't really know what exactly they are influencing. I mean, sure, you are a fashion influencer, you're a lifestyle influencer, you're a food influencer, whatever it is, but are you actually contributing to the society, to your followers? Are you actually telling them something? You're not sending a message. If anything, I feel like you're just promoting yourself and also promoting whatever is it you're trying to sell.
And they would then say, hey, but bro, I do charity on the side. That for me doesn't count, right? So don't come back with the whole thing like.
Now you're just making me feel bad, like you're just saying that I do CSR.
No.
It
so,
doesn't work.
So don't come back when you do something and it doesn't work and it cannot backfire.
Yeah.
And then you come out after the media to say that, actually I do charity and stuff. How dare you call me? Because I think recently there was a report about Malaysian influencers the lowest engagement.
Oh yeah. Was it a SAYS article?
Yeah. It wasn't a it was an article by SAYS, but the data didn't come from SAYS.
Okay.
The
so
data actually came from a glable agency that looked in global influencers. So not just Malaysia. We were ranked globally, and Malaysia came in one of if not the last, like one of the lowest numbers in terms of engagement and in terms of like the number of followers that they have and the engagement levels that they would get. Right. So Malaysia is one of the lowest. And a lot of people terasa and then you find a lot of them come out on their feed and say like, oh, how dare you call me out, and like, I do like charity, CSR and stuff. But bro, that's not the point. Like, you're missing out the point. Now you're just still selling yourself.
Yes.
Which is that an influencer? It's weird, like, influencer, celebrity, I don't know.
But I can tell one thing, I think Malaysian influencers, a lot of them buy followers.
Yeah.
Judging by your engagement itself, it kind of shows. I mean, like if you have 1 million followers, I expect like, I don't know, 20,000 likes and above, but sometimes I see like 1,000. It makes no sense to me. The numbers don't reflect. Like if I have 1 million followers, I actually expect like 20% of it to come and talk to me. But
why does the number of followers, I guess for marketing side or you're working with brands, that makes sense, right? So as a business side, it makes sense for you to have big numbers, but I think nowadays brands are also more aware of what's your engagement level, what's your industry average, how do you compare with industry average, right? The other thing is like, it's just us as consumers. I don't think we actually follow this person because this person has like 3 million followers or 5 million followers. I think we follow because of what they do. So we gotta be more aware of what kind of content that is being pushed out. And like, if you just post photos of you travel here and there and stuff and all that, you look at the comments, like all the comments is like,
I'm like praising you, I'm saying you're pretty, nice face.
Or most of them, they'll just post up the peach emoji, right? Whatever that means, right?
So ass.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it meant,
right?
It
means ass. Peachy ass.
So that's what they would do, right? And then you go like, is that really engagement that you want, right? So basically, it's not legitimate engagement levels that you get, right? So maybe that data came from looking at this as well. What exactly is like engagement? Are they really talking about the photo, the content, or is it just commenting about?
I don't really ever know, to be honest. I don't really ever know. I don't know why. But I'm open to talking to any of you who...
I would love to, because I do that on my show. And like, my email address is out in public, and you LinkedIn, just Google my name and you will probably find some way to reach out to me, right? And like, if you do that, if you do any influencing or educating, like building first world mindsets, and you're an influencer, then I would love to talk to you, because I feel I've not yet came across anyone who does something like that.
I mean, as of now, I don't think... I mean, if you can ask anyone in this room, right? If you think of an influencer that does like, good things, actually influencing people in the right way, can you guys name anyone?
So one, I think, will come out is like Hannah Tan. So like, the way that she does with her whole empowerment of women empowerment.
Oh, right.
So like, those kind of things are great. So what she does with her community, that's what you would call like, an influencer. But, she's like an old timer. She's been around for years and all, right? So, there are the few pockets of really good influencers that really do, great things with what they have in the channels. But they themselves are person of influence without the social media. But the ones who get onto social media as nobody and become somebody, that is the one that I think we're both calling out.
To be honest, like I know a lot of people who are credible, but when they get on social media, they're not as famous as all these other people. They have a very small following. But in physical meetings, they are actually recognized for a lot of things. But like you said, the difference between those and those who start from nothing and become an influencer using social media, like those two are actually very different group of people as well. There's, like you said, there's the old timers and there's the new breed of people that are coming in.
It's not all influencers.
Yeah, definitely not all.
Yeah, there are great ones, but it's the ones pockets that we talk about. So because you are really driving traffic, you are reaching out to your younger audience, and honestly, the young kids are so easily
very gullible, so easy.
They're so easy, and I worry, because the only thing I hear about them when they engage with my show and stuff and the things that they talk about. So I talk about 5G and stuff, right? So then always the one thing they ask me, so if you've got 5G, then faster internet, can YouTube faster, can play game faster, and I'm like, wow, if you're 18 years old and you're thinking of 5G just being able to have better internet speeds and stuff, then I'm worried, because you're only a consumer of the internet. You're not a creator of the internet's capabilities and knowledge that it gives you, the power that it gives you, right? It's sad because the amount of people outside that create things out of nothing using the power that we have with this internet connectivity and stuff is way advanced. Like, they can think outside of the box. That critical thinking that a lot of us Malaysians don't seem to have. So that is always like my biggest concern. So whenever I go onto social media, I get that worried feeling. It's like, oh gosh, like this is a very dangerous zone, because it feels like I could be in a bubble that only sees that. But it's worrying that this bubble is actually pretty big. So yeah.
Well, you heard it here first. Anyway, we gotta end things, but before we end, so we're just gonna talk about that infamous intro of BFM. So how did that came about?
I'm surprised you actually can hum to the jingle.
It's catchy lah.
It's catchy. So the jingle is just basically something that was produced with an external source, and they had like a whole bunch of variations, and that's how the jingle came about. But I don't know if you guys know, also like Muza's Mayhem, he used to play in like in a bar called Online Pub in Damansara Kim, and me and my colleague Richard, we used to love going to that bar and watch him play. So when we had our own events that we do for entrepreneurs and stuff, we always try to make our events slightly different, so a bit more engaging. So you have a live band at a 7 a.m. 8 a.m. Event for entrepreneurs. So instead of just having like a voice of God and then presenting someone and the speaker goes up, we actually have a live band playing you rock music, the music that we would play on our business radio station, and then bring up the speakers. So it gets people pumped up. So when we told Muza, like, hey Muza, so the BFM jingle that we have, the that jingle, can you do it live version instead, right? So then he's like, yeah, cool. So he went back to his studio, bounced around some ideas with his friends. They actually did one version where it was 7 minutes long, from a 30-second jingle. Not even 30 seconds, it was like 7 seconds of jingle. He made it into like a 7-minute rock kapak lah. He just goreng the shit out of his guitar lah. And me and my boss Malik, we just looked at each other and go like, we've never heard a BFM jingle that sounds like that, because that just sounds like something that Queen created out of it, right? So it was just amazing, and we're trying to see if we can use that version, like to maybe use it for the next decade of BFM and stuff. But yeah, it's surprising the jingle stuck to many people's head, even in my head as well.
It's been so long already. I can't even get out of my head. I actually haven't even listened to BFM for a while, and it's still here. So
now you got everyone curious. Now everyone's gonna like, what's that jingle? So you listen to
tune in to 89.9,
or download the podcast. Spotify. Well, however you
and follow Jeff Sandu on Instagram. It's Jeff Sandu.
It's Jeff Sandu on Instagram, Twitter. LinkedIn,
I
have a Facebook account, but
it's okay.
I'm quite private on Facebook. On Instagram, it's a little bit more, I guess, public, but I don't actually post much work stuff. It's more of my travels. I use a lot of Insta Story because it goes away within 24 hours. In terms of photos, I kind of make it like a collage of memories that I like. And then Insta Story is my work stuff, or like just whatever's on my mind. LinkedIn and Twitter is more of work.
Awesome.
Yeah, Josh, who's like part of the Flex thing, always mocks my LinkedIn, Twitter.
No, he mocks everyone. So he mocks him, he mocks everyone. This is Josh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can listen to Jeff on radio every Thursday
and Friday.
And Friday. What time?
At 11 a.m.
11 a.m. Both 11 a.m.
Both at 11 a.m.
So Thursday is always a talk with an entrepreneurs or brands.
With tech companies, so the new tech stuff, and then Fridays is the society impact on tech.
That's cool. You guys check it out. Anyway, today again we have Jeff Sandu. Thank you so much for coming. Sorry it takes so much of your time. I think we've gone like about an hour over, right?
It's alright.
Yeah, it's good. It's good fun. But yeah, let me know. Like, to be honest, I'm actually looking for like a female guest because we do not have a female guest. We need some females in the show. So if you know any female that's interesting enough that you guys want to watch, please just throw the name over. Could be your mom. I don't know. Just kidding.
If your mom has a cool story.
Yeah, if your mom has a cool story about you, I don't know. She can come and share it. But anyway, yeah, thanks for listening again, guys. So, peace.
Thanks, guys.
Cool story, bro.